Good morning, welcome to Morning Outlook. This is Kim speaking on Wednesday the 17th of July. So, starting off looking at news events, possible risk impact for today. Well, there's not a great deal here. We've got UK inflation already out this morning. It's come in, the CPI, the Consumer Price Index, has come in higher than forecast, but the same as last, so it doesn't look quite as bad as it appears here. In fact, if you look at a bit more of the detail, and the core figure was up 0.1. What's driving this? Well, I wouldn't mind betting it's the fact that fuel prices have managed to sneak back up in places. Anyway, the consumer price index is there. The UK PPI, producers price indexes, have all fallen, and quite some chunk there. Some of those figures well under the forecast and well under last time. So this is the earlier stage of inflation, which often eventually gets passed on to the consumer, but it's maybe showing a bit of a mixed figure overall here. We should just look at yesterday's there. Let's just go to this week so I can look at this CAD data. A bit of a mixed bag with the Canadian dollar yesterday, actually. In fact, inflation, the headline figure there, minus 0.1, come down from 0.6. So it's suggested that further cuts may be made on the Canadian dollar, but I'll come on to that in a moment. Let's firstly then look at the technicals. Sorry, I didn't mention. What else is to come out today? Not a great deal actually. Industrial production this afternoon at 2:15, and we do have an FOMC speaker there later due to speak about the economic outlook and event headed. Okay, you never know. 2:35 could see a bit of action in the US there, right? Let's look at the markets then. Euro dollar, it's still sitting around the underside of this yearly pivot. At the moment, it's not got back up to it yet. The more it holds on around this area, the more I just think, well, it's got the potential of a push. Yesterday it did come back to its monthly pivot there, and catch a bounce, and it's sort of on the coming off the bounce here. A bit messy where it sits here. The pivots are still ultra thin in terms of there's hardly any volatility in this market for most of the time, so it's a bit quiet. I think on the bigger swingy side of things, this is a long, but of course we got to break through that pivot above there. The yearly pivot needs to break above there to be more on a long hold, but this might be a stage of potentially getting in. But of course we got the ECB meeting tomorrow, so we've got to be a bit careful, I suppose. On the pound front, okay, so with that inflation data coming in this morning, it's reduced the potential of a cut, and we're seeing pricing in there quite early. Another little surge up there, but these markets really aren't in the, I mean, it's a bit much like the euro, but this is just a more condensed version of the euro kicking in here. It's got the potential to carry on. I'm looking on the bigger picture, thinking it could well carry on. It would have been nicer to get a deeper retracement. We still haven't seen the weekly pivot hit on the pound, but that's just showing its momentum and strength. You see the sort of flaggy pattern that's occurred, and it's pushing up at this stage, so maybe more upside to be had there yet. Dollar yen, let's just get onto the dailies here. Now this is come to the underside of its daily pivot there, and we're seeing a bit more of a reaction this morning. It started coming from yesterday afternoon there, and it's properly sort of coming off a little bit more now. It might not be long before I look to start putting some shorts in and building a short position up. It is still above its quarterly pivot here, but if you start taking out these prior lows, I mean, there was obviously some support, some buying coming in for the dollar at these levels, or some selling of the yen at these levels, whichever way you want to look at it. We'll see what happens. As it comes back. Aussie dollar. So the Aussie dollar here rolling over a little bit more, just that bit softer this week at this stage. Bear flag sitting there at the moment on the 4-hourly, and well, if we see another breakdown here, we could see a continuation down towards its S1, maybe more. So it's looking, yep, it's getting a little bit of a pick up at the moment, but if it pulls back off here, it is really as simple as looking at the trend line across the lows here and looking for the break, maybe the break of the current hour at some stage. US dollar CAD. US dollar CAD still struggling. Yesterday's data bit disappointing there. Whoops, switch me back to, as it does. Let's try again. US dollar CAD. No, it's playing ping pong here. It keeps switching me back to the Aussie. Let's try again. It's holding now. US dollar CAD then. Yeah, that support area, the previous highs there, previous lows, is just holding it at the moment. Continues to see it held. Now it has run up to the underside of the weekly, monthly pivot even, and we could see a correction here, but there's only an expectation that rates will be cut and not, but it's already pretty much priced in. So how much more softening we got on this, we'll see. But overall, but to me, I'm sort of looking at this and wondering whether we're going to get another push to the downside at some stage. It is perhaps not the best place from where it is at the moment, but if it falls below that R1 area that it's previously pushed on through, it might be a bit more interesting. We've already seen the test of the 34 and the 50, although they are becoming a bit more aggressive behind it, so just need to watch for that. The New Zealand dollar, let's go to the dailies there on the New Zealand dollar then. Right, solid old day at the moment here. Key reversal candle put there on the 4-hourlies, but well, we could see a continuation. It's not the most convincing to me. We've probably seen most of the action that would have come from this wedge already displayed there now. It's pushed on through. As I said, it's horribly unreliable, this sort of pattern, but on this occasion looks like it's done most of it at least. And you're coming down at lower time frames, it almost looks like, well, if we were to see a break of this 1 o'clock candle, or what time is that, sorry, 2 o'clock candle, that will give us a higher low, and maybe we'll see a structural change coming through there. But for now, still a bit iffy, but better than it was. US dollar Swissy still in a bit of a mess. It's heading southbound here slowly, and it's quite come down to lower time frames. It's very messy, not really for a day trade, and there's no swings on there at the moment for me. Euro yen, this is one that's been correcting a little bit more, as it, just like the euro dollar. I'm sort of looking at this and thinking, is it going to go at some stage? Again, it needs to break these prior lows here first, and ideally below the monthly pivot on this particular pair to be considering a short. There's a hell of a lot of shorts probably built up on this pairing in particularly, because the way it's been running up. Some of them must be well underwater, but we'll see how this develops. It could be changing, and it could be that some of those come back into play a little bit, but there is still that risk of it coming back to its monthly and bouncing along with a 50 MA that's sitting there. So on the bigger picture here, patience still needed if you're looking for the short side. On the other hand, if it starts showing a decent bounce off of this monthly pivot, if it gets there, then we could be looking for another wave up, just as we saw back here and we've seen previously. Okay, that's pretty much it on the currency pairs for a moment. Let's just have a quick look at gold. So gold pushing through this morning, it's just run into its R, sort of time I was looking at 7-8 o'clock. It was not far away from its R1s, but it's certainly shaping back up on the longer side, and it can't, well, it's broken through all the previous highs here, isn't it? So it's back into near-term record highs. Crude, on the other hand, still sliding down here. Yesterday it managed to break the prior low there, just making it a bit softer. We could just be seeing an ABC correction. A bit wary of this, but it's still sitting around about 80 bucks. Here's the lower high that's been confirmed. So at the moment, structurally, it is in a downward trend here on this 4-hourly picture, and you can see it pretty clearly on the dailies here. Quite messy during the day to trade, though. It sold off there yesterday at 12 o'clock, went quite quickly. The normal sort of 2 o'clock moves, not really, well, it's a decent sized move, but not really a proper setup from it. Anyway, I'd rather be on the short side on the way it's sitting at the moment, so we'll watch this later off the daily pivot. Right, finally S&Ps. So the S&P's coming off a bit this morning, but yesterday, of course, they made a new high, and they're continuing to chip away. I wouldn't be trying to chop into this too early. It's still structurally, even on this 4-hourly here, pushing up quite solidly. Yes, we're probably getting some divergences running across, and multiple divergences running across. In fact, we can see them on, well, actually, that one wore itself off, and then, yes, there was a divergent sort of types coming through here, but it's quite flat. If you look at the MACD below here, it's actually rising and flat. It did have the original drop off and divergence into this move, but it's since gone on making new highs. That doesn't look like a market is going to completely topple, and it just looks like it's got further strength in. Yes, we're seeing these sell-offs, but more often than not, we're seeing a sort of correction come afternoon. Other markets there, well, they're all quite similar. The Dow is the oddity here. It's pushed up into new highs there, and finally it's been pushing through more new highs and looking much more solid at this stage. Okay, today it's coming off a little bit at the moment, but more to happen on that. The closest home, the DAX, it's well, looking a bit iffy. It's still in this sort of bit of a rising move here, probably a rising channel when you look at it on the 4-hourly. There you go. So it's in this ascending channel, but at some stage, what we're seeing here, we could see the break of these lows here, and if it does that, well, to me, it's starting to get structurally softer. We shouldn't ignore the trend lines, of course. I'm going to just put this near-term one on here, because that's what a lot of people will be looking at. But that in itself may just give us a bit of a support area. Now, if it breaks this area, then it could be seeing more rollover. FTSE down this morning as well, just running into 8 o'clock, but it's you see it's coming off quite a bit. It's just not, on the shorter time frames, not doing a great deal here. Yesterday it managed to catch a rally in the afternoon there, only for it's rolling back, giving most of it already back here. So yeah, another soft old market there. The higher inflation data certainly wouldn't have helped this, the equity markets here, because it just means that higher rates may be held for longer. Okay, on that note, I shall leave you, and I'll catch you in the morning. Bye for now.